Triple H officially retired from pro wrestling. And that's the thing with wrestling, man. It's like anime, but the characters that made us fall in love with the sport are aging. Sometimes I see these pictures of previous WWE generations and it's kinda sad. When Triple H retired, I thought, okay, for my childhood era, we only have Randy, Edge, Ray, Lashley, and maybe we should count The Miz too. When I was a kid, Brock Lesnar wasn't in the WWE. And that's one of the main reasons we think wrestling was better back in the day. It's interesting how your back in the day and my back in the day is different. If you grew up watching the Attitude Era, you probably didn't like this era. I think it's fair to say yes, in many ways it was better back in the day, but it's also about the memories. Like even the peak of PG era was really entertaining to me, and I still remember it being as one of the best eras in the WWE, even though majority of the wrestling fans hated it. So it's sad that all of the wrestlers that made me like wrestling in the first place are leaving. Unfortunately, Triple H suffered a life-threatening heart failure, and it was absolutely a right decision not to wrestle anymore, because it's a right decision not only for himself, but for his family too. But in this video, I want to celebrate the career of Triple H, and talk about my favorite Triple H moments over the years. I've realized most of my favorite wrestling childhood memories do have Triple H in them. The first pro wrestling match I saw was Batista vs Randy Orton, and that was around the time Evolution kicked Randy Orton out of Evolution. During this match, we saw Triple H interfering, and as a kid you think that is a bad human being right here. And over the years I got the internet, and I remember searching Evolution, and I basically tried to learn everything about this faction. I watched all the Evolution vs Goldberg matches, and the one video I watched over 200 times maybe even more, is Evolution turning on Randy Orton. What a moment. And maybe that's why Evolution is my favorite faction of all time. I grew up watching it. I also absolutely loved Rated RKO vs DX. These are my absolute favorite childhood memories because I was watching WWE with my family, like a bunch of people, cousins and all of that stuff. And majority of the people obviously like DX. I liked Rated RKO because Randy Orton is my favorite wrestler. And trust me, it was so fun. You do know that wrestling is scripted, but you don't really care about that. I was a kid and my cousins who were older than me were also kinda kids. So, watching these matches, rooting for Rated RKO, knowing that yes, they're bad guys and DX are probably better and stronger, but whatever. And then you build a wrestling ring in the backyard, but there's no actual mat, you're wrestling on grass. But you have these fake ass ropes, and then you have a bunch of people, you're wrestling as Rated RKO, other guys are wrestling as DX. You probably experienced that too. And I also had the perfect water spit thingy that Triple H does. I'm sure you tried to do that as well. And who could forget 2009 when Triple H invaded Randy Orton's house and got arrested. I was around 9-10 years old at that time, and I remember in school, we did have a couple of people who watched wrestling, my closest friends at the time did watch wrestling. How could it be real? It's not real, but wrestling does have some real elements, but how could he have a camera? And I don't think that's Randy's wife. If you would watch these kind of moments right now, they don't hit the same, but back then when you're a kid, it had something special. And even my friends right now who did watch wrestling for a year maybe when they were kids, they do remember these moments. And in general, Randy Orton vs Triple H in 2009 was an absolute banger, man. It's as personal as it gets. And Randy even kissed Triple H's wife's cheeks. As in cheeks. Nothing else. Triple H versus The Undertaker. It's kinda underrated in a way because a lot of people keep talking about Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, which was absolutely unbelievable, but I don't think Triple H versus The Undertaker was worse in any way. So this was around the time I was a big wrestling fan, right? I was a bit older and I could appreciate wrestling a little bit differently, not just because it looks cool and I like this wrestler and he's my favorite and I hate, you know what I'm talking about. I was already a mark and I did like the story, but the matches, man, the matches were absolutely unbelievable, especially WrestleMania 28. That was, it seems like the ending of the WWE. You end the WWE with this match and it makes sense. Roll the credits. Maybe it should have been The Undertaker's last WrestleMania match. And this was around the time I was already making wrestling videos, and seeing Evolution reuniting, I don't think I ever marked out that much while watching wrestling, you know. I was already a YouTuber. I think I already made videos with another channel that I had, Mr. Y2J, and I remember making like 4 or 5 custom Evolution Titantrons, and they got like, I think one of them maybe has 1 million views, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure actually, but I remember these videos built my channel kinda, and I was just having fun, man. Like, I was a big Evolution fan, seeing Randy, Batista, Triple H in suits. Man, that was a great time. That was a great time. I was already a mark, you know, I thought, yeah, Shield winning makes a lot more sense. But that time I didn't care. I was like, Evolution needs a W at least once. And they didn't win a single time. A lot of people don't realize how important Triple H was in Daniel Bryan's rise in the WWE. Like, Daniel Bryan won the title against Batista and Randy Orton, but the whole story was basically about Triple H and Daniel Bryan. And that was probably the last amazing WWE rivalry we got. Don't get me wrong, we got some bangers over the years, but it was a story that majority of the wrestling fans were just crazy about. It's like wrestling fans tried to control what's happening in the WWE, and WWE played it really well. Whether it was the original plan or not, it doesn't matter. WWE realized Daniel Bryan needs to be at WrestleMania, and Triple H made this work. Triple H made us hate the guy, even though at this point we know they're just characters, but he made us believe. It seems like people just keep talking about the reign of terror or every other bad decision perhaps Triple H made, but people keep forgetting this man had an unbelievable career, and he's probably involved in some of your favorite wrestling moments of all time. I just talked about my personal favorites because I grew up watching these, but matches against Mick Foley, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Chris Jericho, like, over the years we got some absolute bangers. And I think it's also worth mentioning NXT. You can see, you know, from the responses from former WWE superstars who were in NXT, you can see that this is the boss the wrestlers need. Maybe they have a bad relationship with the WWE, but they do have a great relationship with Triple H. I don't know what's going on personally with Triple H, Vince McMahon, the WWE, why he's not controlling NXT anymore, but I do kind of feel sad because it seemed like he was really interested, he was passionate about NXT. That's how he imagined wrestling business going further, and it seems like, you know, because of AEW that's no longer the case, because eventually what we wanted from NXT, what we kinda got from NXT, we got in AEW but bigger. And, you know, most of the fans were like, okay, I'm switching sides now because it's the same thing but bigger. But I believe NXT still had its place in pro wrestling, and unfortunately now it's just shit. And we always kinda imagined that Triple H would be the one running WWE after Vince McMahon, but it seems like that's not gonna be the case. I'm sure it's not gonna be the case, and that's kinda sad. I also appreciate how Triple H's last matches in the WWE were against Batista and Randy Orton. It just makes sense. You know, it just makes sense. He built Randy Orton and Batista, and he wrestled Randy Orton and Batista in his final matches. And you know, it's personally kinda cool as well, because this feels like the conclusion of my childhood. But yeah, man, I just wanna thank Triple H for the memories. A great one. Peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.